A new campaign poll out today shows Donald Trump dominating another big-name Republican in 3 early voting states. The Quinnipiac University poll shows Trump leading Jeb Bush by between 4 and 18 points in Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Florida. But the poll also found many more Republicans in those states would never support Trump. Almost a third of voters say they would not vote for him. Bush is viewed more favorably. Chief White House correspondent Major Garrett has more.
I think a nuclear deal is very important, but we should have doubled and tripled up the sanctions and made a real deal. Kerry, who's a baby. I mean, here's a guy goes on a bicycle to go on a bicycle race. He's 73 years old. He's in a bicycle race. He falls. He breaks his leg during the negotiation. And I tell everybody, and you probably heard it, I swear to you, I will never be in a bicycle race as long as I'm president. President Obama, Secretary Kerry, I highly think you should read this book quickly. Quickly! I went to the Wharton School of Finance. You know, like really smart people go to the Wharton School of Finance, I would tell you. Now, I have great respect for China and their leaders. And hey, look, the largest bank in the world is from China. They're a tenant of one of my buildings. They just devalued their currency the other day. 2 decades, the biggest they've ever had. They're killing us. You know what that is? They call it a sucking action. Every time you see them, you know what the sucking is? They're sucking the jobs and the money right out of our country. That's what they're doing. And then they say, you can't build a wall. It's too big. It doesn't work. Well, 3,000 years ago, right? The Great Wall of China was built. We'd like to have that wall. That wall, nobody gets through. That I can tell you. I want it to be so beautiful, because maybe someday they're going to call it the Trump wall, maybe. So I have to make sure it's beautiful, right? I'm a great builder. What I do best in life, in all fairness, I build, which is good, because your infrastructure in this country is crumbling. Isn't it nice to have a builder? All of that money that's going to Hillary and Jeb and Scott and Marco and all of them, the people that are putting up that money it's like puppets. Bing, bing.
Major Garrett joins us now. Major, thanks for being with us. You know, Jeb Bush, as we heard, decided to step up the attacks on Donald Trump last night. How effective will that new strategy be?
We're going to find out. Jeb Bush knows he has to engage Donald Trump. It began earlier this week when I talked to him exclusively, and he went after Donald Trump's immigration plans, called them not only unrealistic but unconstitutional. And Jeb Bush doesn't sort of lead with his chin on this, taking on Trump by that, I mean. He was asked about it at a town hall, and the supporter of Jeb Bush's didn't even want to mention Donald Trump's name. I don't want to get all Harry Potter and Voldemort here, the candidate whose name can't be mentioned, but Jeb Bush said, no, it's Donald Trump. You can say his name out loud, and said he's not a conservative. He doesn't have a conservative track record. He's never been involved in conservative fights, and I have, Jeb Bush said. That is his first line of attack. The one problem for Jeb Bush is, and it was a problem for him before Donald Trump really became the phenomenon in this race, there are many conservatives in New Hampshire, South Carolina, Iowa, and elsewhere that are not yet sold on Jeb Bush's own conservative credentials. So it's a double argument that Jeb Bush has to make, that Donald Trump is a counterfeit conservative and he's a real one. But he knows he has fallen behind Donald Trump not only here in New Hampshire, but South Carolina, Iowa, and nationally, so he's got to engage. The idea that this campaign of Donald Trump's may just sort of run out of momentum is not a strategy the Jeb Bush campaign is any longer comfortable with, so they have to engage. We're going to go follow Jeb Bush in a town hall later today in Keene, New Hampshire, and we'll see if he keeps it up.
Major, as you know, there was a report that said some of Jeb Bush's donors were flirting with supporting Kasich. How concerning is that for the Bush campaign, and how much urgency does a report like that lend to the campaign?
It's a real deal. Donors are, by their very nature, investors in politics and somewhat nervous as they allocate their investment dollars. And Jeb Bush got a lot of early money from donors who thought he was the most likely nominee for the Republican Party. And so they bankrolled his campaign, either the campaign directly or his very large super PAC, which has raised more than $100 million, on that expectation. Jeb Bush has, by all measurements, underperformed. And so some of those nervous donors are saying to themselves, well, who might be a likely alternative to Jeb Bush? And they look at Governor Kasich, won re-election handily in Ohio, has a decent track record in Congress, may emerge as someone who could be that alternative to Bush, and don't want to be late to that party if one does materialize. So this is a real factor for the Jeb Bush campaign. He's got plenty of money, but he needs to be more forceful on the campaign trail, needs to improve his campaign performances, and he needs to increase his poll standing to reassure those donors who are early investors so they don't stray to other campaigns. And right now it appears, at least for those who are looking at Bush, Kasich does appear to be a semi-attractive, if not fully attractive, potential alternative.